You ever been part of an emergency landing? Is that what you want, Larry? To spend the night in Lubbock, Texas at a Days Inn with a $15 voucher from Cinnabon?
And now,
what is this?
I know you're gonna dig this.
This is the Flatland Sports Podcast.
It's Division I football! It's the Big 12! Hey, Mules!
Happy Friday from across the Great Plains of West Texas. This is the Flatland Sports Podcast, free and available worldwide, exclusively on YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere you get podcasts. Thank you so much for making the Flatland Sports Podcast your source for all things Texas Tech, Big 12, college football, college basketball, and beyond. And while you're here, don't forget to like and subscribe so that you never miss a moment. And if you want to support the show, step into the Flatland Sports store, grab some of our original shirts like Bet on Tech. We still talk about you, Southwest Conference, or another hypothetical win for the SEC. Plus, check out the Flatland Sports hats and other gear. Support the show and represent the Great Plains of West Texas. Visit the Flatland Sports store today. The link is in the description. All right, it is time to open up the Flatland Sports Mailbag. I ask you all to send me your questions about Texas Tech football, the Big 12, college sports, or anything else that is on your mind. Nothing was off limits, and I will talk about it right now. Let's get right into it. First off, Ed Helinski sent this question. What vibes are you currently seeing out of the Texas Tech football program? Do tell. Ed, the vibes are really, really good, which is really crazy when you consider the absolute roller coaster of an offseason we went through. We started off really high, coming off of a disappointing trip to the Orange Bowl, but still the greatest season in Texas Tech history to date. And then you got absolutely slammed with Brendan Sorsby and all that. You sort of bounced back a little bit, or that settled a little bit, and you ended up with finding out that Will Hammond is actually progressing a lot faster than maybe you realized, and so he'll be ready for day one. So you're not going to just be without a quarterback, but you have concerns maybe about how healthy he'll be able to stay and how truly 100% he is. And sometimes guys just don't bounce back from injuries at all, from just a playing and performance standpoint. But then you go and you pick up Tommy Castellanos, and so now you've got a legitimate backup, you've got a legitimate quarterback, and frankly a legitimate team. And I feel like Joey McGuire is every bit as confident about this team as he was last season, if not more. As a fan going into last season, I would say we were all cautiously optimistic. We were wondering, is the hype real? Texas Tech hadn't won 9 games since Mike Leach's last season in 2009. So could Texas Tech really break through and win the Big 12 and make the college football playoff? And it turned out, yes, the hype was real. You absolutely did it. You won the Big 12. You went 11-1, and you made the college football playoff. So now that you've done it, the question is, can you do it again, and can you take it to the next step? Making the college football playoff is no longer enough. The goal, obviously, as some of the haters are going to point out, is to score. If you're asking Joey McGuire, he believes that Texas Tech can win a national championship, as do I. I've believed that for a long time. And so the goal now isn't just to, go win the Big 12 and make a college football playoff and see how you do. The goal is to win a national championship. And I'd say everybody in that building, as we sit today, fully believes with 100% confidence. Nobody is lying to you. Nobody is, just saying what you want to hear. I think everybody in that building fully and truly believes that you are as close to winning a national championship as you have ever been at Texas Tech this year. The next question comes from BadDog7689. That was from TikTok. Is Hammond truly going to be the quarterback we need, or are we going to fumble on the national stage again? Because, to be honest, this is the biggest and honestly the only weakness Texas Tech has. And I mostly agree with that. Now, I don't know if I would say quarterback is a weakness right now, because we don't actually know what the quarterback play is going to look like. Quarterback is more like a question mark. Now, we saw flashes of Will Hammond last year. He came in for an injured Behren Morton, specifically against Utah, just absolutely torched the Utes in that game. Also came in for an injured Behren Morton against Arizona State. Struggled a little bit in that game, but then orchestrated, I believe it was a 10-point comeback with 2 minutes left to go in the game, and actually got the Red Raiders ahead before Sam Leavitt did what Sam Leavitt does and just threw the ball down the field and made a miracle happen. And then he tore his ACL just on a fluke play. I can't remember what game it was. I want to say it was the UCF game. It possibly could have been the Oklahoma State game. Tore his ACL on just a fluke play. He tried to cut inside, and the turf monster reached up and grabbed him. So with all that in mind, just remember last season when we talk about the Orange Bowl and what an offensive disaster that game turned out to be. Behren Morton was playing, and as he had been playing all year, was playing on a broken leg. He had a fractured femur, I believe. And so clearly not 100%, didn't have the ability to run around and get out of the pocket like maybe he would have if he had been fully healthy. And also credit to Oregon in that game too. They drew up an excellent defensive game plan where they completely took your running game out of the game. And Behren Morton as a quarterback was somebody who really needed a solid running game to lean on. Now, if we go back to the Washington State game in 2024, that was the game that Taj Brooks was out from an injury, and obviously Texas Tech loses that one. Behren Morton can't really get a lot going offensively without having the running backs going. And so just keep all of that in mind as I answer the question. I think Will Hammond absolutely is the guy. I think I believe Joey McGuire when they talk about how he's recovered from this injury. I believe that Will Hammond not only is healthy, but I believe that Will Hammond is actually going to come back and be Will Hammond. You know, sometimes you see guys who get injured, especially, painful injuries like an ACL, and it just doesn't come back. Michael Crabtree, a prime example of that. His NFL career was nowhere near as good as it could have been had it because of the injury he received during I believe it was the Baylor game or the Oklahoma game at the end of the 2008 season. So Will Hammond, to answer your question, absolutely is the guy. Absolutely can take Texas Tech to the national stage and be successful as long as he stays healthy. Quarterback health has been a huge problem for Texas Tech. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, and 10 years ago was Patrick Mahomes' last season at Texas Tech, 2016. Patrick Mahomes was the last quarterback to start for an entire season. And by the way, that season, Mahomes went out with an injury against Kansas. So he didn't necessarily play all the minutes of that season. He started the Kansas game and then had to leave early. We saw Nick Shimonek come in and take over for him. And so, and then if you go before that, I believe you have to go back to Seth Dagey before you have a consistent quarterback who stayed in for an entire season. The reason for that, of course, is because your offensive line for the better part of 10 years has been absolutely terrible. And so you seem to have solved that problem, and a few things to consider. First of all, you don't need a Patrick Mahomes on this team. You've got a defense that is going to be absolutely elite. First of all, yes, you lost Jacob Rodriguez. You lost the two snipers on the edge in Romello Height and David Bailey, but you pick up some really good guys like Austin Romaine. You have the returning Big 12 championship player of the game in Ben Roberts. And so your defense is going to be able to keep you in games every bit as well as they did last year. Now, maybe not as suffocatingly, but they're going to keep teams from scoring points. On the offensive side of the ball, your O-line, which was pretty good last year, it wasn't, I wouldn't say it was like an absolutely elite O-line. They were a little bit undersized, but they returned just about every starter. And to piggyback off of that, you will have absolutely, without a doubt, the best running back room in the country with Jacoby Williams and Cam Dickey coming back again. And then you have the return and / introduction of Quentin Joyner, who you did not get to have at all last season because he tore his ACL during fall camp. And so the three-headed monster of Williams, Dickey, and Joyner is going to be an absolute monster for opposing defenses and the backs of which this offense is going to be built on. So, as I said, Will Hammond doesn't need to be Patrick Mahomes. Will Hammond doesn't even need to be Graham Harrell. He needs to be a bus driver who can make plays and extend plays when needed. And the one thing I was really nervous about, which is what I've talked about already, is what happens if he gets injured. Well, Joey McGuire has solved that issue. Enter Tommy Castellanos, the transfer from Florida State. Now, people have a lot to say about him. First of all, everybody wanted to jump on the train and say, well, they're trying to replace Will Hammond. Texas Tech hates Will Hammond, whatever. It's all BS. And everybody knows it's BS. He's coming in to be the backup. And that is exactly what you need now, because if Will Hammond gets hurt, you've got a quarterback who has real Power 4 minutes, who was actually very productive at Florida State, despite Florida State as a whole not being very successful. Through 2,760 yards last year, had a 58% completion rate. To compare that was right about where Graham Harrell was, and threw 9 interceptions. Now, go back and watch the film of that Florida State offense. First of all, go watch Florida State last year at all. Their defense was absolutely abysmal, and of course, we at Texas Tech know how that goes. The quarterback doesn't play every position. They also had a terrible offensive line. Tommy Castellanos was running for his life every single play, still managed to put up over 2,000 yards. So, all that to say, there's more things that can help you if your quarterback is not the greatest quarterback of all time. And I'm not saying that Will Hammond will not be the greatest quarterback of all time. He has every ability to be the greatest quarterback of all time. And we've never seen a fully healthy, fully ready to go Will Hammond before. The time that we did see flashes of that, it was pretty great. Even the Arkansas game, which again, Texas Tech lost, Will Hammond struggled a bit. He threw a couple interceptions. He was never sacked. Arkansas was chasing him around the entire night. The offensive line play in that game, terrible, and kept his jersey clean. So, this question here did not come directly to me, but I found it from Ellis. It says, oh yeah, you like sports? Name 5 times your team has made you want to kill yourself. Well, first of all, I need to clarify. Are we talking all sports, or are we just talking Texas Tech? For the purposes of this show, we'll just talk Texas Tech. But as a Dallas Cowboys fan, a Texas Rangers fan, even a San Antonio Spurs fan, I have quite more than 5 times that I wanted to kill myself. But we will do the 5 instances that Texas Tech athletics has made me want to kill myself. We'll start with number 5, 2011 Iowa State. So to reset that season, Mike Leach had been fired. Tommy Tuberville comes in. The Tuberville's first season in 2010, which was my lone season in the going band from Raiderland, I got to see just about every game that year, was okay. You didn't have any big wins. Well, I take that back. You had a really good win against Missouri. You finished 8-5. It was an okay season. Did not really do much to quell the anger in Lubbock over the Mike Leach situation. So fast forward to 2011. Start the season kind of rough. You drop 2 games against Kansas State, and then I can't remember who the other team was that you lost early on to. Possibly Iowa. I think it was Iowa State. Again, no. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. But then you go and you go to Norman, Oklahoma. Oklahoma is ranked number 1 in the coaches poll, and you just beat them. And it's not even like a weird fluky win. You just go out there and you played better and you beat Oklahoma, and everybody in Lubbock is thinking, we're back. Texas Tech football is going to be okay. The momentum that was built up from the end of the Mike Leach era from 2008 and even into 2009 is not going to fizzle out. We're good. Huge win. Seth Dagey played lights out that game. Oklahoma was expecting to celebrate a 40th consecutive home win, and Texas Tech completely put a damper on the celebrations. And then you go into 1 week later, you have what was an absolutely abysmal Iowa State team come to Lubbock, and they just beat the living hell out of you. I believe that was a 60-11 kind of game. I don't even want to look up the score. It made me so mad. But that was it. Everything good from the Mike Leach era and everything that had been built up in the 2000s died that night. And we entered what we all kind of call the decade of suck after that. And so number 5, 2011, the loss to Iowa State after the huge win against Oklahoma. That was the 5th time that I wanted to kill myself on this list. Number 4, the 2008 Oklahoma game. Of course, an incredible season. At the time, the absolute best season that Texas Tech had, certainly in most people's recent memory. Texas Tech starts the season ranked number 12. They go on I believe, a 6-game win streak before Texas comes to town. A 7-game win streak. They're 7-0 when Texas comes to town. You beat the number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns in Lubbock. An incredible play by Michael Crabtree to put you ahead with 1 second remaining. You go the next week and just beat the tar out of Oklahoma State. Texas Tech is ranked number 2 in the BCS rankings behind Alabama. You've got 1 more game to go, and win this, you go to a Big 12 championship game and probably to a BCS national championship game at a bare minimum, depending on how the Big 12 championship goes, a BCS bowl game. And then you go to Norman, Oklahoma, and game day goes to Norman, Oklahoma, and they are the Sooner fans are as hyped as they've ever been in their lives. They have a chance to bounce back after losing to Texas early in the season, and Oklahoma just understood the assignment and just put belt to ass to Texas Tech that night. Graham Harrell, I think, broke a bone in his hand. Michael Crabtree was injured, and it just wasn't good. And I just remember sitting there in my family's living room. My dad was sitting there, and he just goes, "Well, great, back to the Cotton Bowl." So probably the first time in my living memory that I wanted to kill myself over Texas Tech sports, but the absolute deflation that came from that as the season came to an end for Texas Tech, and you kind of go and stumble your way through and win a Baylor game, and that was effectively it for the 2008 season. Number 3, the 2019 men's basketball national championship game, an absolute magical run by Texas Tech. Texas Tech starts that season picked to finish 7th in the Big 12. They go to win the Big 12. I believe they ended the season on a 9-game win streak, and then won the first 2 games of the tournament. Gets a huge win over Gonzaga, then beats the absolute brakes out of Michigan, who thought they were just going to have their way with you. I remember one point in that game, the announcer saying that Michigan hadn't scored in over an hour. Texas Tech smothered them so badly defensively. An incredible win against Michigan State in the Final Four to go to the national championship game. You play your hearts out. You find yourself ahead 30 seconds to go in the game, and Jarrett Culver just, for whatever reason, the moment got to him. I wouldn't even say the moment got to him, but just in that moment, Jarrett Culver decided to jump off his man to try to defend a 2 while you're up 3. Virginia gets an open shot, ties the game to go to overtime. And then overtime, you had a chance to win, and then Davide Moretti gets tomahawk chopped to knock the ball out of bounds. Officials spend what felt like an hour reviewing that play to see if the ball maybe grazed Davide Moretti's thumb as it went out of bounds, and completely ignored the fact that it was going out of bounds because he was tomahawk chopped by a Virginia player. Texas Tech was up at that point, had a chance to really put the game away. Virginia gets the ball back. They come back and win the national championship game, and I don't think I spoke for 3 days. The number 2 time that Texas Tech's athletics has made me want to kill myself, the 2021 Texas game. I believed in Matt Wells. I believed when Matt Wells was hired. I argued with everybody who would listen about Matt Wells, and I circled this game as what I would call his Mike Leach moment. And what I mean by that is, if those of you who remember the early 2000s, Mike Leach was hired first season. He didn't win a single game against a ranked, an opponent with a winning record who wasn't from, the FCS or a lower conference. And the locals were not happy, and it was not looking good. And then Mike Leach goes and wins and beats A&M in 2001. And then Mike Leach, being Mike Leach, goes and defends the students who took the goalpost into the Aggie section and caused them all to fight each other, and completely wins everybody over. And so I had this game circled as the opportunity for Matt Wells, who was not a popular hire, mainly because people just didn't really have him on their radar more than anything else. And then when they did some research on him, there wasn't really a whole lot to go off of. It was mainly just his ability to recruit, and he did some really good things at Utah State. This was the game that Matt Wells could have completely turned the ship around. And Texas Tech is up 17 with 2 minutes to go, and then Alan Bowman goes and does a horns down, and it all falls apart. Texas finds a way to tie the game, and then they win in overtime. The overtime wasn't even an overtime, really. Texas just blew through you in overtime, and that game was over. So that brings us to number one, the number one moment where Texas Tech football, Texas Tech athletics made me want to kill myself, and that was the day I learned of the firing of Mike Leach. Funny enough, I was actually in San Antonio for that game. Or not for that game. I was visiting relatives in San Antonio. We weren't there for the game, but we happened to be in San Antonio at the same time that the Texas Tech football team was in San Antonio for the Alamo Bowl, which, if you remember, Mike Leach was in San Antonio when he was fired. He traveled for the game, for the Alamo Bowl, and then halfway through that trip was informed that he was being suspended. I was just sitting, hanging out at my grandparents' house, got a text from my then girlfriend, now wife, who said, Mike Leach was fired? I thought she was joking. I thought she was messing with me. And then I went and got on the computer, looked it up on the internet, and heart absolutely sank. It was just an absolute nightmare. And frankly, had been a nightmare for 2009 all the way up until Joey McGuire was hired in 2022. So the nightmare, the moment that made me want to kill myself, that set off all the moments that made me want to kill myself. Now, I will go through some honorable mentions. As I said, a Texas Ranger, Dallas Cowboy fan. The 2014 NFC divisional round, Dez Bryant made that catch, and you cannot tell me otherwise. He made that catch. He got screwed. They called it a catch on the field and reviewed it and somehow decided they had enough indisputable evidence to overturn that one. Give me a break. The other one, the 2011 World Series, Texas Rangers, one strike away from winning. I was on my feet. I was already ready to celebrate. I was getting ready to pop some champagne with my roommates, and the fly ball gets dropped, and somehow the Cardinals come back and win, and then I watch them just beat the tar out of the Rangers in Game 7. Fortunately, that one was redeemed in 2022. The Texas Rangers, World Series champions for the first time ever. And one final message for the Flatland Sports Mailbag. This one comes from Red Raider letterman Bo Carpenter. He messaged me on Facebook, said, I just wanted to say, I know you don't get a lot of engagement on this platform, but I really appreciate your content. As a letterman and an alumni, I just want to say thank you for all your work. Bo Carpenter, I watched you from the Going Band from Raiderland in the early 2010s. I appreciate everything you did for Texas Tech and continue to do, and I appreciate the message. We started on, the Flatland Sports Twitter account has been going for a few years. I just started on Facebook this year. It's been building up really well. I've gotten some pretty good things out of it, and I hope to continue building up on all platforms. So please take a moment. If you're watching this, give me a follow on social media. You can just search Flatland Sports on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and X. I'll be there for you. Well, that's all I have for you today. Please, like I said, take a minute, find me on social media. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your day here with me on the Flatland Sports Podcast. Whether you're listening from Lubbock or anywhere else across the Great Plains of West Texas or anywhere around the world, I appreciate you spending your time with me. If you enjoyed the show, please make sure to like and subscribe. And of course, your thoughts, questions, accusations, fits of rage are all welcome in the comments. If you have any questions for next week's mailbag, let me hear them. And don't forget to check out the Flatland Sports Store. Pick up a t-shirt, a hat, or any other Flatland Sports gear and support the work that we're doing here. Until next time, I am Christopher Johnston. This is the Flatland Sports Podcast, and I'll see you on the next one. Wreck 'em Tech.